Justin Tafa opens up as a minus 200 favorite, folks, with a plus 170 comeback for Jared Vanderaa, the mountain man versus the bad man. So when we're talking about experience, this one's important again. Jared Vanderaa has roughly about like 25 overall fights between his amateur and his pro career. Justin Tafa has 6. Big difference. However, Justin Tafa strikes me as the man. I'm a big fan of this guy. Don't get me wrong. He strikes me as the type of individual who says, I don't care who you are, sign the contract and I'll fight you. It does not matter. And that's what we love and we respect that, right? But real quickly, AJ, because like I said, I don't want to spend too much time. I want to spend a lot of time on our main event and our co-main event. I want to ask you this. When it comes down to it, if this is a stand-up, just striking affair, the big things that we need to watch for is Jared Vanderaa is 4 inches taller than Justin Tafa, 6 foot to 6'4", and Jared Vanderaa has a 6-inch reach advantage from 80 inches to 74 inches. Both of these dudes can knock your lights out with one punch. The main difference, though, is how does Justin Tafa close that distance, dude? Like, how do you do it? That's going to be the reason why I pick who I pick in this fight, but just give me your take, AJ.
Yeah, no, I think that's the biggest challenge is getting inside, because you're right. Vanderaa has an 80-inch reach, Tafa with the 74. That's a hell of a 6 inches. It's a hell of a gap to try to maintain while you have a dude who weighs 265 pounds punching you in the face, right? But yeah, man, I like this one is a hard one to me, because in the Survey Spiegel fight with Vanderaa, he was supposed to be this good college wrestler, come up, be able to hold himself down in the wrestling mat, and just got absolutely controlled by Spivak in his last fight. It almost looked like a black belt fighting a white belt, just absolutely demolishing him. So I personally think that Vanderaa might come out and just try to prove that he is a good wrestler. Now, is that the easy route to victory against Tafa? Yeah, probably. But Tafa also has very, very good takedown defense. And if he's in the fight, if he's motivated, man, he's a brawler. Like he's very hard to hit. He's also very smooth, fast. He's one of the very few big men who throw punches in bunches, but also can drop you no problem. He keeps his guard high, but the problem is he could just start getting a little complacent and not really excited about the fight. And we saw that in the Felipe fight where he was getting tagged down the pipe. He even had the guard up. He was just willing to just let Tafa touch the guard. But until Tafa started realizing he throws straights down the pipe, and he was just connecting. And, keeping your guard up and letting somebody hit you is fine and all when you're throwing baseballs like me and you, Derek. But when you got big boys throwing, ham hocks down the pipe, it doesn't really work out that well. So that's my biggest thing for Tafa. Is he going to be able to be focused and in the fight? And if Vanderaa starts shooting takedowns, we'll be able to defend him. But I'm man, this one's actually very exciting for me, because I really like Tafa, and I think if he's able to compose himself, he's one of the most well-rounded fighters on the come up we've seen so far. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I'm absolutely with you. I honestly think that Justin Tafa kind of got robbed out of his last fight against Felipe Lins. I thought that Tafa won the fight, but he took it like a champ. He was just like, oh, okay, no problem. It's he reminds me, and it's unfair, right, because they're of similar regions, right, but he reminds me of Bam Bam, Tai Tuivasa, you know what I mean? These dudes were just game. They're just like, all right, we'll fight, that's fine. And you want me next? Okay, let's do it. Line it up. It does not matter. As long as I get to go drink a beer after this, like, we're all good. So I just want to note this, man. Jared Vanderaa, he trains with Dominic Reyes and Sam Alvey over there at Team Quest, right? So he has a good training camp. You know what I mean? I think that he's really going to be pushing. He talked about in his pre-fight, like I said, the lack of focus and things of that nature. And he's actually a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And he was all like, yeah, man, I'm supposed to be this black belt. It's like, I didn't show it in my last fight, but like, I am a black belt technically, you know what I mean? And he earned his shot after getting a knockout win over Harry Hunsucker. And if that name sounds familiar, that's the man who got destroyed in like 30 seconds against Tai Tuivasa. It was a short notice fight. He shouldn't have been in there with him, but nonetheless, that's how you got into the UFC. It's just telling. It doesn't look good now. It didn't age well, I guess I should say. Ultimately, the former rugby player in his youth who played for the Melbourne Storm in Justin Tafa has a good shot of winning this fight, and he is a former Australian Extreme Fighting Championship heavyweight champion. All wins via KO. Give me your pick, AJ.
Yeah, I'm with you, Derek. I think Tafa won his last fight, and I'm actually going with him again, man. He lives and dies by the KO, even though his last fight was a decision. It shouldn't have been, because they were swinging for the fences, right? And when most fighters, they start winning the fight like Tafa was, they get on their bike, start riding around, not really wanting to get hit. Where Tafa, you can hear his bike squeaking all the way down the block, just like he's Debo coming. And just like that, he's Debo coming to get your money, man. So I'm going Tafa, KO, round 1, making it an early fight. It's going to be fun. Who you got and why?
Listen, man, he's a southpaw, and they call him the bad man for a reason. But even with that being said, I'm giving the mountain man, Jared Vanderaa, one more opportunity to stay out of my doghouse. Now, my doghouse doesn't mean anything. What does that even mean? Ultimately, what I'm saying here here is I think that Jared Vanderaa still has a lot of promise, and I think that you can't give up on a fighter after one fight. He's 0-1 in his UFC career. It's literally his debut. So now he's been under the bright lights. Let's see what happens. But I'm going with a knockout win, man. Jared Vanderaa, round 2 knockout. I don't see how this fight goes the distance. If this fight goes to the distance, then they're hugging the whole entire fight, and I don't anticipate that. So.